Hey, this is Midas. I am doing a VOD review of Foxgloves now. I actually recorded this, but the microphone was bad, so I'm re-recording. So I've already watched most of this match. Um, so I might reference things that like didn't happen yet, but I'll do my best to like keep things in line in terms of like what happened in the game. I'll try avoid I'll try avoiding things that haven't happened yet. Um, yeah, I'll just go at my own pace. Um,
While you're find this game.
I should watch it in normal speed. Yeah, okay. It's just looking at the gears again. Team player, timeless. I think it's team player. Um, yeah, Maxwell's, palms, slick kicks. Okay, on boots. Yeah, I've one of the things I noticed is that you should generally try to collapse this way over this way. Though, but I think the other thing I noticed, which is what makes this more viable than usual, is that one, Julie tends to give the ball here sometimes on kickoff rather than into the corner. Um, and two, this Vice likes playing second goalie on kickoff, but she should really be trying to like also both of you should be trying to go like this basically. And there's going to be a 3v3. So this is kind of okay because Vice is doing us. But maybe there be a better opportunity to explain all this. This choice from Vice just tends to lose space. Yeah, and if you have abilities, then you can just like walk here and still address the out clear, Dubu's out clear with one of your two abilities. Um, that's the general idea. And when it is correct to do this kind of thing, it's either because you have no cooldowns or like I said before, Vice hanging out here, but she should be somewhere here. I think too crazy. I like the damage on Amy. There, it's just some sort of dribble. The spacing on this is too loose. This strike, it's barely. I wouldn't even consider this a strike ward just because there's so much space here. I think you're tunnel visioned on Amy, and that's why you like lose track of this loose spacing. And the other thing you need to identify here is that to dribble here, one, you need to identify the spacing, but two, you need to identify what Asher is doing. And she would appreciate some time to be able to like defend, get to here. Technically, you can dribble like this, but the safest dribble is like something like this, and then you get to move with the ball forward and possibly pass. I think I'm not a fan of that ult. Let me look at a previous sequence. Never mind. Okay, yeah, but I think like you don't have to heal Asher because one, the orb is gonna spawn in 4 seconds. Um, and two, Vice just like blew her kit. I think Amy like blew most of her kit. She might have one ability left. So even though Asher is quite low, I don't think you need to address it quite yet. And what should you do instead? You should one proc Maxwell's and then teleport forward and contest the ball. And I think that's more value. Hmm. I guess Amy had more abilities than I was keeping track of, but I think the point still stands. Okay, so this time the way, yeah, Vice played this a little bit more silently, which is like she's collapsing. She's walking forward. Um, Between walking like this and walking like this, you should do this option. You don't really want to stand here. Um, because if you're asking for a pass, it's quite risky in front of these two range characters. Amy just used her primary, and Vice just used her primary. So those are two abilities that like you don't have to respect anymore. Or like I think Vice is going to use it shortly. Um, but even still, there's like Amy jump, Amy Vice jump, to be worried about. Possibly Vice ult. Um, and that's risky in front of two range characters. Even if they don't punish it like here as Asher passes to now, um, it's still risky here. And even after you get the ball, you don't really want to shove it forward because, as I said, ranged abilities tend to like put the ball into the corner, and it's not like difficult mechanically. So yeah, just be more involved in the play, just because Asher's gonna like want to keep the ball in this lane. It is annoying that Amy's just gonna be like put the ball here, get the barrier, and then Asher's gonna defend. And then shortly after, Dubu's gonna look to ult, right, as a follow up somewhere. And that's all annoying, but yeah, like you'll in like 2 or 3 seconds, you'll be like here, here, here. Ideally, you should like be here. And red team is gonna be like some mess like this, vaguely. Um, but it's more playable than it seems. Like let's say here, here, somewhere here. It's more playable than it seems just because this brawler will be able to like might be able to look for a KO. This Asher might get some abilities on top of this person, and likewise this midfielder, whether it's here or here, they might be able to pour abilities on top of her. I don't think it's super relevant given that it's set one. The damage isn't too crazy, um, but it might be relevant. Maybe if Amy was a little bit less healthier, maybe if Amy had one less dodge, these would be things that would make sense. Yeah, just a very long-winded way of saying like, don't look for this as an option right now for the next 5 seconds because it gets punished by ranged abilities. And the way you're moving, it kind of implies that like you're asking for the ball, maybe, but you shouldn't. And yeah, two teams should just want to shove the ball through here, basically. So this is a time where I just talked about how like on kickoff you should want to collapse, and also on kickoff you don't want to play too vertically. You should want to play more in the lane of where the ball is. But this is a circumstance where it's actually correct to walk like this, and the reason for that is because even if you walk like this, you can't address the out clear that Dubu will have because you don't have abilities. Yeah, it's just now his abilities are too short range. If you were playing like Estelle, then it's like or like any other midfielder that has more range, which is most of them, um, then it's more common to like stick around here in this lane somewhere. Just because you'll just have an ability that can address this idea. But as now, it's either conditional or in this case, you don't have those abilities. So yeah, the only way to address this out clear is by using your vanilla move speed and possibly hang around for the Maximus proc or possibly move forward. I think Mag staying further back for the Mag Souls makes sense just because your cooldowns are like um you this might take like 3 or 4 seconds, maybe 2 seconds, so you'll just appreciate that extra time. Nice pass. Ideally, Julie should stall the ball a bit more. Sometimes it matters that Asher like gets to walk forward. Maybe if this was like Dubu, he'd appreciate just being like maybe he can wall at some point. Or but Asher just happens to be a character that's quite stubby range, so that's not quite true. Yeah, and you also your like range is like sort of hereish, but if Julie dribbles, then like you can like scoot up and be more involved in the play. And it just discourages Dubu from getting the ball, getting this out clear, and then getting this pass to Amy. And these two things, your team doesn't really have a good way to address it other than like Julie in this corner. Yeah, nice Max Souls proccing. Oh, nice try from Julie. I would have liked you to wait for this secondary mine a bit more because what's going to happen is like Bam actually is going to like primary in this direction, and instead of just healing, I think you could wait for like the ball to go this way and then get the heal and also get a touch on the ball. And I suppose I'll reference this later, which is that maybe you're like losing track of where these two people are, or like you're not anticipating what Asher's gonna do in this scenario well, which is just like some variation of like trade abilities. Asher wins with primary. Nice pass from Asher. Let's see. Yeah, the way this scenario is supposed to be played out is that Julie is supposed to like value keeping it more in the ball rather than trying to shove. Because if Julie just like stalls the ball here, maybe like a dribble. Not sure if she can dribble at this spacing, probably, but like some sort of back pass or like dribbly back pass. Um, then you guys regenerate cooldowns, and then you guys can kill this person. Your primary, you're correct that like to defend this choke, you probably need to use an ability to like just with your base kit, you can't like defend this choke with just your movement speed. I think this is a little bit too telegraphed, so I would have liked you to do something like cover this option with your character model and then look for primary. The other problem is like this primary is kind of like a weaker reward where it's like it's not clear that maybe Vice will like back up in time and like get a second strike, or maybe Duwu will like walk up a bit and primary and give the ball back to Vice. Um, yeah, there I would have liked to see you stall getting the speed gate here. Like there's, I guess like if Amy's around here, then maybe you should take it before she takes it. So in that case, it doesn't. You should just take it. But I also think like Amy should want to not go like this. She should just like want to be on top of the ball. In which case, I think you can be greedier for this speed gate. Um, Maybe that would be different if this was a range character and would be able to put the ball forward for like Amy doing this sort of thing. But yeah, you can just like hypothetically in a circumstance where you're like confident Amy shouldn't be allowed to take this speed gate because he has more pressing concerns. You should wait, and then once this ball has a clearer idea, like maybe it goes to Dubu, maybe it goes to Asher, then you should take it in sync with that, with something more concrete. Julie gets a spark, right? So I guess this is a bugged thing. Yeah, and I like Castellast as an option. You're already enhancing your secondary. Um, and I think you'll get more Dash Awakenings in the future. Amy likes Dash Awakenings. Vice likes one Dash Awakening. Um, as in like, she doesn't need more range than a single dash. Um, yeah, your team gets speed, and red team gets a little bit more damage. Yeah, I think Joy might be adapting to one. Vice is like once again giving up the speed gate. You guys should like I whenever this happens where the ball spawns here and the other lane is collapsing, there's usually some sort of like mini game where like people just like tag each other just so they guarantee getting the speed gate. Um, the way Julie plays this kickoff, she like puts the ball here instead of like more into the corner, which it kind of looks like she's adapting to you playing like this. I'm not sure. Um, I guess I haven't said this explicitly, but once I probably did. I forgot what I said, but like you should want to default to this. But if you're recognizing Vice is doing this, then like this is okay. Okay, I already mentioned that before, but it bears repeating. Yeah, that's fine. Get the barrier, get the speed gate. I think you could wait to get the speed gate again. Maybe like once Julie puts the ball, then you can walk forward. Um, or when Asher gets the ball, then you can take the speed gate. Oh, I think I like the timing you took it. So ignore what I said. You won that strike war. I think you won that strike war, but like you struck like this rather than this. Asher needed to strike the ball like this. Yeah, it looks like Asher struck the ball in this direction, which is a little bit too into the Amy. Yeah, this is another opportunity where it might make sense to delay taking the speed gate. It might not. It's kind of arbitrary, but like what you kind of want to do is like confirm Dubu gets a clear and then take the speed gate. Um, if Dubu stalls, then like you should delay taking the speed gate. Sometimes that's like very clear, and sometimes Dubu has like extra time, right? Like right now he's just like dribbling, so like it's kind of ambiguous when exactly he's gonna clear. He can like dribble and stall the ball. In which case, yeah, I think you can wait for him to commit to an option, then take the speed gate, and then get to wherever the ball is. I'm pretty sure that's possible. But if you're not confident, then yeah, just take the speed gate. Yeah, here it's more important than usual. One, this is where your team is, and it's going to be hard or like not amazing value for Vice to push the ball through. One, it's like not consistent with two people here, and two, it's not a amazing reward just because Asher's here, even if it slips by Julie. Um, but two, Vice's most important option here is getting the ball to Dubu, and then like this play is quite annoying. So it is more important than usual to address this. So you're kind of ready for it, but like I think you can be a bit more preemptive just to guarantee that the ball stays in the corner. Dubu stalls the ball, which again think you should consider waiting for the speed bait. That being said, you can't wait that long because of AB right here. She would just take it. So yeah, I guess it's fine. You can wait a little bit more, but you can wait till Dubu this play occurs a bit more. Dubu still has the ball, which is good against he's trying to get your speed buff to run out, so that's a decent idea. But then he loses to your secondary, which is reasonable. I mean, like, it's bigger than it usually is. If you want, you can secondary there, but you can also just like let Asher give you the ball. I'll be more specific, which is like grab the ball, dribble, and then do the play. There isn't too much of a difference here. I like waiting too. Yeah, nice. I think I would have liked you to be more reactive with this. It's sort of fine. I think you want to dribble more than you want to just put the ball here. A little bit sloppy on the strike wars. I guess Asher should just like put the ball here, or like a little bit more into the corner next to the wall. But I would have liked you to travel with the ball a bit more. Yeah, another time where like it makes sense to delay taking the speed gate. Like Asher sync it with like once Asher puts the ball, then take the speed gate, then like be somewhere here. It looks like you dodged the vice stun, so maybe that's why it makes sense to like go like this. But I think you're healthy enough that you should keep walking like this. The problem with walking like this is that you don't want the ball. If Asher doesn't want to pass to you, it's scary in front of these two range characters, Amy and Vice. Maybe Amy punishes it is it somewhere here, but something like Vice throwing a primary, even though it looks like she's using it, um, you're not reacting to that information when you're doing this rotation. Um, but too, like Vice doing this primary sort of here is kind of easy. Um, so yeah, that is to say, but Asher's best option here is to keep it in this lane somehow, and you should like want to be in this lane. That's clear, I think. Tactically speaking, you want to keep the ball in this lane because that's just where your teammates are. But you like react pretty well to this dash. Like here, if you thought like, oh, I should clear down just in the heat of the moment against this hitbox, that makes sense to me. I think you can read through this play a little bit more just because even if you lose, Asher has quick flip. But yeah, nice back timing there against the Amy dash. Yeah, and it's kind of similar here, which is like you're not necessarily doing anything wrong position wise, but like, does Asher want to put the ball here? Not really. He wants to keep the ball in this lane because that's just where her team is. And Julie loses control of the ball. It is overtime, so it's an adjustment, and that was a costly mistake, which is Asher does this cross clear, but the problem with this is it goes to Dubu, and two, Vice gets the speed gate. So there's gonna be like one or two people that are gonna have to rotate between Asher and now, and it's likely like either both of them don't make it in time or one of them doesn't make it in time. And it's also just scary to like travel the ball here with an Amy like in the vicinity. Like it's kind of easy for her to like maybe not immediately punish it. Maybe that's a harder play, but like, placing an ability sort of here is not too difficult. Nice dodge. Mm. Okay, you played that well until you struck it into the vice a little bit too much, but otherwise, yeah, as played, it's yeah, nice dodge. What happens? You hit Amy. I think you're hitting Amy because she has Quirrell, which is a pretty good um thing to recognize. But I also think like you should just maybe it's relevant to delay taking the speed gate. Maybe it's not. I guess with Amy here, you should just take it instantly. Um, but play more for here, shove the ball forward, and then yeah, just play this normally because you should yeah you should just push the ball here. Because it's hard for Julie to like suddenly be like, oh, my now teammate hit Amy, I should hit Amy, but like she has to give up the ball. This is just where the ball is, so she'd have to walk away from that. Um, and then go on top of Amy, and then use abilities on top of her. Um, okay, so you end up the damage ended up being relevant. You're kind of chasing the kill too much. This primary just doesn't like get a kill. It just staggers her maybe. Um, the two plays that come to mind that make sense is like Asher puts the ball into this corner, and then Joey will be able to like collapse onto the corner. Not necessarily with his turret, but like generically, maybe like Asher has to win two ping pongs or something. And then Brawler gets to enjoy pushing into this corner, which is great. Um, that's how you get value out of this low health Amy. The other thing that makes sense is like maybe is like I keep saying maybe because like there's a lot of ways this scenario can play out. Like maybe Asher just does a vertical pass here. It's a little bit risky because there's a vice here. So I think for you to expect this pass, it might make more sense for Asher to ping pong a bit, and then Vice uses some cooldowns. Then it's easier to do this vertical pass. So like do this, and then Amy has to decide: does she want to collapse here? Not really, because there's going to be a brawler here. There's going to be a now here. Um, yeah, just a fancy way of saying you don't need to do damage. She walks into the mine. Nice kill. Let's see. Yeah, once again, you're like looking for a vertical option, but you should just like anticipate Asher clearing this way. So walk like this instead of walking like this. It's scary to do this in front of two range characters. I think there's an instinct to like play vertically because it's like, oh, this feels chaotic and it feels like just ability spam, and you might even be calculating like Dubu wall wins a lot of things, but it's still correct to like, even if Dubu does wall, it's still correct to keep the ball here, um, rather than try to force to rotate the ball up, because that's how you lose two barriers. Yeah, and like Asher kind of naturally just wants to keep the ball here because one, her ability is just the ball is here, and if she uses abilities, it just pushes the ball forward. Yeah, that time I think it's permissible for you to rotate like this if you're keeping track of your cooldowns a bit more precisely. I think you can make it here and primary, but this is fine because I don't think you do. There's also like the fact that with your primary it gets body blocked, so even if you walk like this and Vice walks like this, um, Yeah. Anyway, you can rotate like this because no cooldowns. That's fine. I think keep the ball more into the corner because yeah, after the just the idea of like no dodge twice, kill her. That's the most prominent idea here. I think. It, I think yeah, put the ball into the corner and just brawler and midfielder just like kills whoever is here, which is twice. I would have liked to see a secondary around here, like you would allow Julie to collapse into this corner while also getting chip damage. And you end up doing it, which is good, but you also could have like done it 5 seconds earlier. Oh, nice try on the knockback. Kill. Yeah, it's just like a bunch of creations on top of each other. Nice memory. That was mechanically strong. Yeah, even if Dubu ends up doing this, it's still good to throw out this memory just because once again, it's kind of like put the ball into the corner and maybe kill this fella. It's just like it's more important you keep the ball into this corner because like you'll just get more ping pongs and then your abilities will regenerate and eventually like something will give either like you know the third ability will score or the third ability will like do more chip damage. A lot of gaps in Dubu wall this game. Maybe you're like here you should just strike to your Juliet. Um, I think maybe like your instinct is to like collapse into this corner, which is like a pretty good instinct, and then Juliet collapses. But maybe you're trying to play well against this core flip. Um, but the other thing that does well against core flip is one Juliet's core flip, but also her ultimate ability. It tends to do well. So yeah, just give her the ball. I think I would have liked you to one proc the max souls, and then two go a bit more on top of Vice. I think you're still supposed to lose this strike war, but you could have done a bit of a tighter turnaround and had a bit more agency contesting this upcoming strike war. Technically speaking, it's more important to cover this option than this option, is because this is where Amy is. It doesn't matter much. You're supposed to lose that strike war. I like that primary. It's trying to address the out clear, but I think you're addressing the out clear with the wrong ability. Does Dubu like this clear? The answer is like not really. It's like kind of okay in this circumstance. If you're a higher range character like Juno or Estelle or Amy or any other midfielder, then this idea is a lot worse. Like this happens, then you like snipe it, and then it pushes the ball here. In this circumstance, you're two melee characters basically. So you are worse at addressing this. But I think if you like were to as Dubu clears, if Dubu clears like this, you can secondary into the corner and you guys can collapse. Or you can use your secondary to like rotate this idea. I think your team feels fine about that. Right, and Dubu ends up clearing that way. but like your team is it's like not unplayable by any means. I think Dubu is supposed to do this clear, in which case like it's more red team is supposed to get a bit more space. Yeah, nice. Oh, something cute you can do is here in the strike war. This next one, dribble up, and then consider doing like a strike reset kind of dribble to either protect it, to just dribble, and then keep the maybe put the ball back in the corner, or maybe dribble again. If you really want to be like psychotic, then maybe you can do like dribble, strike reset, bam, and then walk this way. Um, I like that damage. Julie's about to respawn on top of Amy. I think somewhere here, I would have liked you to ult back. Yeah, because the way you convert this kill on Amy is like just win this ping pong and then push it way back here, and then like some combination of like Julie and now will be here, and then Amy has to decide will she want to contribute or will she be removed from the play. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, just a lot of awakenings I don't normally see. I'm a bit more partial. I think it makes sense to pick one of these two awakenings. One of the two dash awakenings. I'm a bit more partial to super surge. Um, just because it's more damage. But I also think arrow's not bad here because sometimes you're like I want to address the outclear option Dubu has. So this gives you a bit more range. So I don't hate it. As a trend, I've noticed that one, I like that you like on defense, you don't like hanging out here because that's where like that damage piles up, and you're basically are okay with like burning this barrier in return for being healthier. I think that's pretty good. Um, but I also think like you don't value putting the core into this corner whenever you push the core forward. Yeah, it's okay to die there. I mean, if you're not sure, I think it's worth burning like an ability to make sure you don't get hit. But it looked like you were almost out. That primary is a bit too preemptive. One, you're covering where Julie is, and two, yeah, that's actually it. And two, like you're here as well. So there are two things that are already um covering this option that this primary is trying to cover. So either don't use it or like be more reactive with it. A little bit vertical. Okay, yeah, this is a circumstance where Asher is never wanna gonna pass to you. So you should just be somewhere in this vicinity. You should either play goalie and you're like just waiting for your secondary to come up, then you can like push the core forward. That makes sense to me. Or you should just like play a bit further up and just wait until this kind of sequence happens. Because Asher just wants to put the ball there. So you're a little bit too vertical there. Mhm. Yeah, I think I suggested it before, but the a solid way to cover this is stand here and then primary upwards. If you primary in this direction, it's like not an amazing reward. There's like no amazing follow up on it. There's no Jui in the vicinity really. Yeah, and that is a time where like, you get punished for like Vice playing this far back, but also Jui like kind of does this kind of thing, which is okay. Like if it's easier, I'd have to look at the kickoff again. She gets to it first. Yeah, she has Spark of Agility, so that kind of makes sense. Um, yeah, it's a little bit more around Amy, so yeah, I guess this makes sense to give the ball to Dubu here instead of into this corner. Um, let's see, but yeah, it's not bad to just throw an ability out here. You should. I'm more tempted to say that you shouldn't vertically rotate here and keep the ball in the corner and just like, it's hard to score here, but you can get chip damage and there's a brawler here. So I think that is relevant here. That's reliable as well. Um, why do I not like this rotation? It makes sense, but one, this brawler is like more committed to this side than this side. So like red team would get to it kind of first. Um, but I think against these two ranged characters, I'm worried about some kind of stray ability just pushing the core in this way. I'm not ability tracking. Like one thing that would make this worse is Dubu ult. Like rotate the ball up here, Dubu ults somewhere like this. That's pretty bad. I think Dubu used his ult, so that's not a concern. But something like Vice or Amy jump, I think let's consider Amy jump. How does that do in this matchup? Like primarying into a swipe. If the ball is up here, then I think it goes around Asher, which is bad. But if the ball is like a little bit more on top of Asher, then that's gonna do more positively. But overall, this feels like at best hoping Amy slightly misplaces the ball. Um, and if Amy wants to like jump a little bit later, like maybe she does this and then swipes here, maybe it catches the ball, maybe it doesn't, but like Dubu will just give her the ball back. So yeah, even though Asher is like positioned for a pass, I don't think it's a good idea. Nice pass. Good eye on Juliet to see that gap in the wall. Yeah, typically I'm like not a fan of like so far in the match I'm like, oh, the person here shouldn't like expect this, but in this circumstance it's better than usual. The only risk here is this, but there isn't this risk of like a ranged character placing an ability here as much, just because Amy can punish this, but it's harder for her to punish this. It's like less efficient, and likewise for Vice. So it's better than usual. If you wanted to, you can look for this kind of thing. It's risky for Asher to do it, but it's less risky for you to do it because Asher will protect the pass. Another reason this can be bad is if this character was ranged, because if even if Joey gets the ball, she should want to keep the ball here rather than here. Nice patience. Nice. Joey's like winning kickoffs a lot more than I would expect. that is a time I think it's more appropriate for you to collapse. Like walk this way, speed. Um, I think I'd have to watch this again to be able to guess like, can you make it in time? Let me be more specific. You kind of meandered a bit. Yeah, like you started walking left here. You should not want to walk here. You want to walk this way because Asher is gonna like get the ball here, and she's gonna want to ping pong. Disregarding Du's ultimate. Um, yeah, maybe I don't know. Too many other things happened for me to like confidently tell you exactly what to do. Okay, this is another time where like you're too vertical again. So if you walk like this, it is less risky than usual because even if an ability like addresses it or intercepts it, then there's no barrier, so it's a lot safer. So there's a lot less risk than it usually is. But when Asher gets the ball, you still kind of want to put it in this lane because that's just where your brawler is. And if you get the ball here, like there isn't a great way for you to pass the ball to Julie. Um, and there's gonna be like a Vice here and Amy here. Um, yeah, hope that made sense. I'm tempted to say like maybe it's better to rotate down here because you're like lower health than usual. I'm a little bit worried about like why would this be bad? Well, I'm worried about Dubu ult, so maybe you are supposed to keep the ball in this top corner. Yeah, both of these options are not good. Uh, Vice should just like pour abilities on top of you. I guess I don't. I think she used her secondary, but oh, okay. So she doesn't have cooldowns. Okay, this is more reasonable um than I thought. Nice try. I think you can heal now. Okay, just a lot of gaps in Dubu. Well, nice patience. Oh, that was hard to spot. The way Vice's character model kind of hit this timer. I didn't expect Vice to have that much move speed. You ulted. I would have liked you to ult here. Hmm. Both of you are like just not making the same decisions. It's kind of arbitrary to a degree. I mean, like if you both do the same option, then that's better than you both doing different options. I think the better idea is just put the ball here and just beat up this person over time and just like, stray abilities, damage on Vice. Then Vice is like, I guess I like have to put the ball here and you just ping pong and you just regenerate your abilities and you just ping pong and you just slowly chip away at this character. But at the same time as you put the ball into the corner, Ujui asks for a rotation, which makes sense because I think she's evaluating this as like how likely is it for me to score in this corner, and it's not likely, which is accurate. But again, I think the point, one of the advantages of putting the ball into this corner is just like the chip damage. I'm not doing a good job of tracking Juliet's cooldown, so maybe like Vice is not as weak as I'm like thinking, but yeah. Yeah, Dubu just tends to like stall the ball a lot. I don't think he's paying attention to the speed gate necessarily. He just does it as a default. Yeah, nice. Yeah, once again, a leaky blue wall, both top and bottom. Um, nice damage. I like. I think it's relevant. You have primary because your icon as you do. I don't think you do. Uh, I think between secondary and primary, hypothetically, if you have primary, it's okay to use your secondary here because like secondary chip damage, Julie gets collapse, and you can use your move speed to like get to this lane. Oh, you do have primary. Yeah, and here it's better to put the ball. I guess you're just like, it's overtime, the ball's fast, you're just like kind of frazzled to a degree. But this is good just because Vice wants to put the ball here for the Amy. So putting it in this lane is a better idea than usual. Nice pass. You both strike into Vice, kind of. What does Julie do? You're either supposed to like wait for the ball to get more on top of you, then do this. This is not bad, and then you get the speed gate. I think hard to time this when we're paused. Um, you can also just like do this sort of idea. Um, hopefully Julie's like here. Just a kind of weird sequence where like Vice somehow wins this strike warrior despite there being two people here. Okay. Oh, Chrono Boost. Vice looks like she denies Chrono Boost from you. Joey, I remember she got Spark of Agility. I don't know if she has a second or third Spark. Um, because now's secondary is so enhanced, they're just like three awakenings enhancing her secondary. I would have liked to see Asher giving you either of these options. This tends to be like effectively an ability for goalies. But that being said, goalies getting like an extra ability, that's great. So no, Egoist is fine. You're like over rotating. Yeah, you should just be in the corner, in the wall. Like get the ball here. I think you expect Dewey to put the ball here, and that's why you rotate. Okay, that makes more sense to me. I think once you see Dewey dash punch, you should want to go back. You should not walk like this. You should walk like this because Asher is more likely to like push the ball forward than want to rotate in front of two range characters. Yeah, you're respecting damage. Is good. The best thing for you to do is just keep proccing mag souls. A secondary. Yeah, once again you're like rotating. This secondary makes sense to me. Yeah, you're supposed to be a little bit more protecting this well. It's good that like I think you're respecting not standing here because you're respecting their KO knockback. Um, but yeah, just stand here. Um, you're respecting this out clear too much. Like even if Dubu does it and you're like you don't do anything, it's not clearly winning for Dubu. It's just like kind of okay. Um, in this circumstance, someone like Amy or Vice will just like TP, and that makes it slightly better. But like it doesn't mean it's like clearly winning, as I'm sure. Oh, but we've had other circumstances where like you guys kind of play like here, Dubu gets this clear, but like the outcome ends up being like kind of not amazing for red team, not amazing for either team, or even sometimes positive for blue team. Yeah, and like you're like a little bit too vertical. You should be more in this space. Let me see like what exactly happens. Yeah, as you walk here, as soon as the ball is like hit, you shouldn't rotate this way. You should rotate. You should be somewhere here because yeah, as I mentioned before, like this is risky in front of two vertical two range characters, and even if you get the ball, like it's still easy for them to like place an ability here and put the ball into the corner. I'm also worried about two bullet. Yeah, and like this is kind of true, which is like, do you want to do a vertical play even after Dubu falls? And the answer is like kind of no. So not exactly the same scenario, but like it's generally true that forcing the ball vertically isn't amazing. Nice dodging. I'm wondering if you should be on top of the midfield line. I'm worried like you'll just get killed by Dubu, but you also get Maxwell's procs. Probably not. Yeah, because Dubu's abilities become unreactable instead of reactable. At that time, it was good for you to like vertically rotate because you don't have abilities. And if you walk this way, Amy is gonna body block your primary. As a secondary. There. What happened? When Joey stole your speed um, it's a bit more useful on you, because you're just trying to survive. And Amy does that for it. Yeah. Asher tried to clear it again. She tried to vertically rotate the ball, but she should just ping pong. This is where Joey will still want to put the ball here because this is just where Amy is. No, nobody's here, but some people are here. Both of them aren't like amazing options, but yeah, Asher just rotated the ball. Nice angle from Julie. She's like putting the core into the corner. Yeah, just yeah. This time is an appropriate time where like walking like this is the best option. And as you walk forward, like Dubu's gonna get ball here, and he's gonna have like an option here, an option here, vice option, and by you standing like roughly here, you're like discouraging this option. Julie should be handling this option, and then the last thing that blue team needs to do is do something to address this option, which because Julie should be prioritizing this. That's her just which she already is there, and also like that's her where her strike is. That leaves you to like handle this. You don't even need to do it reactively. You can just do it preemptively. And even if like if you use an ability but it doesn't punish a barrier, which kind of is what happened, the ball ends up still being in this corner, and that's still good for blue team. I think walk a little bit further up, like here. I'm drawing you like a secondary range. So if you're here, like yeah, just walk up a bit more because you'll have more options to use your secondary as the ball is like traveling along the turret. What's happening here? You're kind of isolated from your teammates. How did that happen? Well, one, you play Gilly, which is fine. You're like low health. That's why you rotated. Then here, okay. At this point, you should walk this way, and you're kind of waiting for a pass from either Asher or from Joey. Maybe if Joey just punches twice, then you can get the ball. But does Asher want to pass to you? Not really, because there's an Amy here. And even if that pass does get to you successfully, like there are like ranged characters that can like put the ball into this corner. Specifically Vice. Maybe Amy sometimes. Eventually Asher leaks this ball, and it's because on red team, there are just like three people here pushing the ball forward. There's Dubu, there's Vice, and then there's Amy, who's not really pushing the ball, but she's offering her team a good reward for like pushing the ball forward. So she's relevant. Meanwhile, these are like two people, and you're isolated. So that's kind of why like Asher eventually leaks the ball, which is there's just like too many people there on red team. Hmm. What is this secondary? Um, okay, pass. Once again, just a time that you should walk like this, and then address this clear. You've enhanced your secondary so much that like the move speed from it is pretty good at addressing it, even if you're like in the same lane as the ball. It just lets you rotate. Get the speed gate. Maybe Vice. I think Vice thought she got it. Okay, that time like she played it quite differently than she normally does. So I like that she's like she's like doing something different. Trying to heal. Dodge. I think you should keep the ball in this corner. Not that you can do it reliably. Should you pass to Julie? Um, Yeah, I think she just gets knocked around, so it's not a great idea to pass to Joey here, even though she is positioned for it. Um, it's a bit boring, but it's just like ping pong, and then regenerate your abilities, possibly your ult in 10 seconds, and just keep ping ponging. The annoying thing about ping ponging here is that if Vice, if you ping pong, Vice can just do this kind of thing, and that's be hard for blue team to handle that given these circumstances. Yeah, I like that secondary. Yeah, after that clear happens, I think healing Joey and letting giving both of you guys move speed is a good idea. I guess you're about to lose, so maybe you're like panicking. That's your strike, which happens, I guess. I like that primary, even though it like kind of looks like it doesn't do anything. Yeah, just try to score. Yeah, it is overtime, so it's just like harder to cover the enemies out clear. I think your team struggles in overtime. What happened? Um, I like how you're wiggling a lot. Yeah, here you're just supposed to wait for a pass. The further, if you're like somewhere here as opposed to here, then it's easier for Julie to get you the pass. Nice. Yeah, you get on you. Cool. Yeah, overall, like it ends up being okay for you to like walk like this because Vice is persistent at second going, which is not correct. Yeah, and you like kind of vertically rotate. But once again, even if like a goalie here does this clear, I think you don't need to address it really. You don't need to respect it so much that you preemptively start moving like this. You can even like do something like Asher is going to be here and you ult here, or like you ult literally physically down. Sometimes that's an option. But yeah, you're just removing yourself from the play. Does Asher ever want to give you the wall in like the last 2 seconds or the next 2 seconds? No. I'm also worried about dual wall, which ends up happening. Hmm. I like the pass to Joy. I'm trying to see if you should ping pong because this character is so low. Dubu doesn't have ult, which makes keeping the ball here not as greedy as it usually is. If Dubu did have ult, I think you should rotate. Um, yeah, either's yeah. I think this is more correct. Yeah, yeah. And once again, I'd like to see you this time, even though you have no cooldowns, which before, as I mentioned, like is an indication that you should rotate like this vertically. But the ball is more nestled into the corner than it has historically been in this match. Um, and two, yeah, like I said before, like if you're hanging out here and you have like your abilities 2 seconds, you don't have to respect this. You can like use an ability to get there. Like this clear from Dubu isn't something you should respect in this circumstance. I'd like to see you be more spammy with your abilities here. You just like, there's just like a lot of people to hit. And then, even if it seems like you're not doing a good job of like getting the barrier, um, the likely thing that will happen is like ping pong into ping pong into ping pong into ping pong, and cool. Your like secondary is mostly backup. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but I think there's value in like not throwing this secondary down. I think you want people to collapse on you and then get chip damage on them. So slow the play down a bit. So here it's a better idea than it usually is to vertically rotate. Yeah, a better idea. Hopefully you can sync it with the speed buff. Um, but yeah, the angle that they have is worse than usual. Like you can do like a pass here, ult here if you're worried about an ability hitting. Um, yeah, this Amy doesn't have an amazing angle of punishing it. I don't think she has a dash range. Maybe she does. So like instead of pushing the core into this corner, it's more like pushing the core into kind of vertical. I think Vice doesn't have cooldowns. But yeah, I, I'm doing a poor job of keeping track of their cooldowns, but yeah, that's basically good idea. The less cooldowns they have, worse idea if they do. Yeah, nice damage. Oh yeah, nice kill. Yeah, Asher isn't typically considered like a great kill count, but anything's possible. That is to say like damage as a win count for a blue team is quite good here. I like this vertical rotation. If your team was more ready for it, it's a better idea. Yeah, and like once again, the thing I'm expecting here is just like kill the person in the corner. So he ends up getting the bear, but it's what's on my mind. Okay. Okay, so Joey has 3 sparks. Um, and he does have a dash awakening. I think that's Catalyst, right? Yeah, I do like how like you're not standing in on top of the wall because you're just that's just where damage collects. But I also don't like how you're waiting for the ball vertically. It's hard to think critically about because like red team should want to put the ball into the corner more, but they end up like turning in this way. They end up not they like put the ball in the corner once and then they're like, okay, we give up. And they start putting the ball here. So yeah, I'm just gonna ignore that. That's that's secondary. Yeah, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record here, but like I think the name of the game here is kill vice. Put the ball in the corner, kill vice, and just like ping pong. Put the ball in the corner. Maybe just like primary her just for fun, and then Juliet's like, oh, maybe there's like a kill here with core flip. And ping pong, and then your abilities regenerate, and then repeat the play. And I'm saying that because like I think it's hard to score against Dubu. Like all of Dubu's abilities do quite well versus Julie. They either trade or and win at the same time, push the ball forward. Um, so yeah, damage just feels like an easier thing to achieve as you pretend to shove the ball or as you shove the ball. What's happening? Julie goes for the kill on what looks like an AFK character. Okay. So there's a rare circumstance, which is that this idea is better than usual. Or even if you can manage to do it, this is amazing because it'll make the quarter go super fast. The other thing about this kind of option is that Julia is protecting it. A secondary. Yeah, and I hope I don't. I probably sound repetitive, but like the thing I'm noticing here isn't like the way you shove the ball, but the fact that like Vice gets so low health. So even if you don't get like one of those barriers or one of those goals, there's still like it's still feels nice because there's like probably a play afterwards where you can convert that kill or get pressure somehow because just hit Vice. You're trying to vertically rotate, but once again, I think just put the ball in the corner. Like, what happens if you vertically rotate as a team? Like, maybe Asher gets the ball here. It's not bad, but it's also like not great because like these range characters can like place an ability here, and this feels like quite flippy. But over here, it's just like it's not easy to score, but it's really easy to like pile damage. And your team has been pretty good at piling damage in these last couple of sets. Nice Julia close. Yeah, here it is okay for you to like hang out here. You have no abilities, so like the advice of collapse is less relevant than it usually is. But I also think like this is optimal. It just ends up being like Asher's ultimate did not stall the ball here, but it should have. Like Joey doesn't put the ball into it. or like a stray hit unexpectedly put the ball here. So I think given that, this is good, even though you don't have cooldowns, because ball should be somewhere here. It's pass from Asher. Oh, and yeah, that's the game. Okay, so a summary is that just rotating the ball vertically is like more conditionally than you think it is. I do like that you like don't like hanging out here because like you're respecting damage a ton. But sometimes I think you're like not valuing putting the ball into the corner, which I think is wrong. Um, yeah, I think if you identify that they don't have abilities, then that's a time where like you should hang next to the walls a bit more. Um, but otherwise, I think it's a good idea to play that to avoid the walls because you don't want to let Amy proc her adrenaline rush. Um, yeah, as a general rule, avoid second goaling on especially on kickoffs. Vice kept doing it, and it just ended up losing space for her team. Um, he kind of gave up on contesting the speed gate. Mm, yeah, I talked about vertical stuff and how sometimes it's correct to be vertical. It's like some combination of like overtime where like you don't have cooldowns. So the only way for anyone on blue team to address an out clear is by physically waiting on a choke, even if the ball is here. So that's a rare circumstance where like it's correct to like vertically rotate. What else? There hasn't been like a single moment where like you've been pretty good at tracking where people are, like especially in the context of damage. You're quite the way you play in that context is impressive. But sometimes I think you're like not keeping track of where Asher is, or you're not like anticipating what she's gonna do in the next 2 seconds as the ball approaches her. And like what she's gonna do is like use an ability to ping the ball back. Um, that is to say, keeping track of where all 6 players are is like pretty important. And if you're like sometimes if it's like 80%, that's something to work on. Um, like there's a player, couple plays early on where I thought like you lost track of where people were. Like when you lose this barrier, I think you've lost track. You're looking at Amy. You've lost track of the spacing here, and you've also lost track of where Asher is. And then sure, there's a play soon. Yeah, like there the secondary. It feels like you think it's a good idea to like be more on the ball here, but like the valuation that I would have is that interaction. Asher is just going to primary here. But there's either you're either losing track of Asher here, or you're like not anticipating how this plays out, which is like Asher wins the interaction by primary. It plays out a little bit differently, but they also like use a bunch of abilities, and it's still like it's still okay to wait for Asher to primary and give you the ball back. So that is to say, if you like evaluate this correctly, I think you would be more patient with this ability and just rather than use your secondary when the ball is going here, you would be able to use the secondary as the ball is like going here. So it's kind of like a subtle thing, but that's like the vibe I'm getting. I can't tell if like you're able to keep track of Asher or you're not able to process that information. But either way, like yeah, keep track of all 6 players at all times. Um, and if you feel like this thing is like something you don't do 100%, then like something, if you want to work on it actively, like whenever the ball changes direction, just flick your eyes across the screen and just keep, just look at all where six players are and then go back to gameplay. So whenever, like every second or so, whether it's a strike or like a stray ability hits the ball, confirm where it's going, then flick your eyes. And if you do that, you'll start losing games. You'll start just like whiffing your strikes for free. You'll start walking into the walls, which is a sign that you're doing bad advice correctly. Um, yeah, the game is ultimately about making informed decisions, and one of the things that helps you make informed decisions is just like being omniscient of like keeping track of where everyone is at all times, no matter what. And it's easy to lose track if you're like chasing a kill or you're getting killed, maybe in a strike war sometimes. Uh, yeah, I hope that helped, and good luck your Gibbs.